What is going on YouTube? 0088 here, and today we are reviewing Deadpool and Wolverine.
Are you ready? Okay, I'm ready. I'm the Wolverine. Stop it.
Deadpool and Wolverine. Ryan Reynolds is back with Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool saves the Marvel Universe, aka Ryan Reynolds is Marvel Jesus. Is he Marvel Jesus? We'll get into that. I saw the film. Did I like it? Did I dislike it? Was it good? Would I recommend it? I'll give you my general feelings, the plot, and then we'll talk about what I liked and what I disliked and some fun stuff. First of all, this film was pretty badass in certain scenes. It was super hilarious, super funny, literally a buddy cop movie with superheroes in it. And if you're a fan of basically the last 20 years of superhero films, you're gonna just love this movie if you've been watching them and following them all the way through. In terms of it being a singular movie and it standing on its own, it's probably a little bit weak, but it being like an homage to everything that came before it, and even some of the bad things that's happened in Marvel and just referencing all of that, it's really good in that sense. Kind of cathartic in a way, and it's just nice to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine again. The last time we saw him was in Logan with X-23, who I guess you could see in the trailers is in this film. By the way, the first half of this review is going to be spoiler free, and I'll let you know and be very clear when the spoilers are going to come in. Yeah, let's get into it. Now, talking about the plot of Deadpool 3 is a bit hard for me. I've only seen the film once because there's so much going on. In some parts it's really fast paced, in some parts there's so much jokes they're throwing at you at such high speed that you can kind of get lost on what's a plot point and what's a joke, and sometimes they mash it all together. There's a lot of homework you have to do to really get what's happening with the plot, such as watching Loki season 1 and season 2. I didn't watch season 1. I watched like maybe the first couple episodes of Loki season 1, and Loki season 1 was just not really doing it for me. I didn't like the idea of the TVA. The TVA kind of sucked to me. I don't like the idea that the TVA are this multiversal, all-powerful office that looks like The Office or something. Like, it just seems cheesy and corny to me. So all the TVA scenes I didn't really enjoy, but that was the biggest crux of the plot. So I'm going to say the plot in a very generic way so I don't feel like I'm spoiling it. Basically, Wade Wilson, Deadpool, has to save his universe with the help of the TVA and Wolverine. That's the best way I can say the plot without spoiling it. We can get into more details of the plot later. In terms of the characters, we have a whole bunch of fun cameos that I'm not going to spoil right now until later on in the video. Obviously, we've got Wolverine, who Hugh Jackman comes in and just plays him incredibly well. He's a good straight man to Ryan Reynolds' comedic, funny man character of this buddy cop movie. This movie is really silly sometimes, though I did feel that because of how silly the film is, it becomes a little bit jarring when they have the emotional scenes, because you don't know whether to take it seriously or not, or you don't know whether you should feel invested in it or not. And to be honest, you can only really feel invested in the emotional scenes. They only feel authentic if you've seen the previous movies, if you've seen the previous X-Men films, if you've seen Logan, if you've seen the original Deadpool films. It's like it's playing off the emotions that they set up in those films, because this film didn't really earn any of the emotion you're seeing. I mean, for crying out loud, the Wolverine we're seeing is, spoiler alert, spoilers, spoilers. The Wolverine we're seeing isn't the same as Logan or Wolverine. So it's kind of, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a new Wolverine. Anyway, spoilers ending. Hugh Jackman was great as Wolverine. He hit the emotional scenes out of the park. There was one scene in particular where he was having a whole monologue against Deadpool, and he really let him know how he felt about him, and that bit was quite intense. It was drawing you in there. In terms of other characters, one of the other major characters was Paradox in the TVA. He's like one of the villains, so to speak. I felt he was a little bit off. I didn't like this idea that other characters could be funny. I don't know why, it just felt weird. I know it's the MCU humor and all that kind of stuff, but it just felt a bit jarring sometimes when he was trying to be funny. But maybe that's how the actor acts, but it just didn't, it made him feel a lot less threatening and a lot less real. Because what makes Deadpool great is he's the funny man in a serious world. He's the funny man in a world that he knows is not necessarily real and that he knows is fictionalized. and people have to respond to that in their world, where obviously they believe the world is real. To them, the world is real. And the TVA guy, especially with this multiversal stuff, it kind of blurs the lines of reality, fiction, breaking the fourth wall, and multiverses. When they're not acting serious, it just kind of breaks all of that. And I know the MCU's not serious that much these days, but they should try and get back to that. It's just one of the things that Marvel need to fix, of how unserious the MCU is. Deadpool obviously isn't a serious character. That would make him stand out even more and seem like more of a great character if he's allowed to be one of the few funny, crazy people in that universe. But if everybody's funny, no one's funny. And that's what I didn't like about the Paradox guy. It seemed like he was trying too hard to be funny in some scenes. And that's one of the criticisms I give to Cassandra Cain, who was another main villain of the story. Cassandra Cain, the sister of Charles Xavier, Professor X. And she was pretty good villain. I thought she was quite interesting. She had interesting powers. Though I didn't like that one line she said. She said something about her clitoris. She said something about flicking a bean or something like that. And it just felt out of character, and it felt like she was trying to be like Deadpool. When characters say stupid, ridiculous stuff that doesn't suit them, it just felt like they were trying to be like Deadpool, and it just takes me out of it a little bit. And I just feel like only Deadpool should be saying stuff like that, you know? But otherwise, Cassandra Cain was actually a really cool villain. She has some crazy powers, incredibly powerful. I know she's a true character from the comics, which is cool. And I like how she's like in an alternate reality where she's Charles Xavier's sister. Her powers, where she's using her hands to read people's minds. I won't go into too much detail about that, but it was very, very well done with the CGI and the effects, and like you couldn't tell what was practical, what was not. Her fingers are really weird looking, and she's got really long nails and stuff, but they're like, her fingers are really like almost not, they don't even look like they're real. I can't tell half the time, but but yeah, she was a very interesting character to say the least, and kind of an interesting villain. Made some silly mistakes and some silly decisions there, but because it's a comedy, you kind of allow it. Other characters that I don't want to spoil until we get to the proper spoiler part of this review, that I found interesting. Those are kind of the major ones, really. Just literally Deadpool, Wolverine, Cassandra Cain, the Paradox guy. The rest are all kind of side characters that just kind of help the plot along. Apart from all the major cameos, there's not much else to say. To finish up the spoiler-free section of this review, I'd like to say that the film, while a lot of fun and basically fan service the movie, it's Ryan Reynolds' passion project, and you can tell that they're just trying to have fun with this, and they want us to have fun with this at home as well, or in a cinema. But in terms of the plot, in terms of the story, in terms of the emotions, in terms of the structure of the movie, it felt a little bit weak in that aspect. It almost felt like a bunch of random stuff just mushed together. And if you haven't been following, like my fiance who came to watch with me, she hasn't actually seen, surprisingly for me, I haven't noticed, she hasn't actually seen any of the X-Men films. She's only seen Deadpool 1 and 2. She hasn't seen any of the Wolverine films, so she was quite lost in some parts. Even I was lost in some parts, and I've seen them, though I hadn't seen them recently. If I'd seen them recently, I probably wouldn't be as lost. And yeah, for someone that hasn't seen the previous films, you probably won't enjoy it as much unless you really like Ryan Reynolds and you really like his style of comedy and stuff like that. Now, let's get into the spoilers. Let's get into the fun stuff. My God, let's just get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any time. We've got Henry Cavill as Wolverine. That's what his name was credited at the end credits. When Deadpool was going through all the multiverses and all that kind of stuff, he went through to see all these different kinds of Wolverine. We got comic accurate Wolverine, which is hilarious. But if that was, is that, I guess he is, because everyone always talks about how Wolverine's like 5'3" or 5'6" or something like that, which when you think about it is ridiculous. They never actually show him looking that short when you read the comics. He never seems that short, but he apparently is officially that short, and it just looks ridiculous. And Deadpool was like, comic accurate Wolverine. And then eventually we saw the Calverine. He was obviously working on his Harley Davidson. We see his big, huge biceps and shoulders in his vest, smoking his cigar. And he turns around and is like, wait, that's not Hugh Jackman. Oh shit, that's Henry Cavill. And he does his shotgun pump fist thing that he made famous in Mission Impossible Fallout, I believe he was in.
When you seen him reload his arms? Did you guys want to see him do it?
Yeah.
Come on, Henry.
Oh.
And he does the Cavill pump, but he does it with the flipping claws coming out, which is so sick. And he smashed the shit out of Deadpool. And there was like, and I love how the cameos are all like hints to things that they were talking about. And Deadpool can get away with that because he's like always referencing like the studio stuff and the real world stuff of what's going on. And at one point there was talks about Henry Cavill being Wolverine, so they played on that. I loved the line where Deadpool was like, we're going to treat you right here. We're going to treat you right, not like that other place, which is basically talking about DC, how they fucked him over with Superman and stuff. That was a ballsy comment. That's the first time you ever see, you know, that's all Ryan Reynolds though, but that's the first time you ever see like the studios actually come out for each other in a production like that, like actually talk shit about each other, like West Coast, East Coast rivalry or some shit. That was hilarious. It's cool to see Henry Cavill in the MCU for some reason, even though the MCU's borderline trash now, in my opinion. I don't know if they can come back. I mean, I know a lot of people are thinking MCU's back because of this film. I think they need to do a lot more than that, this film, to come back properly. It was cool to see Cavill in the MCU as Wolverine. One of the other moments was where we see orange and brown Wolverine outfit with Hugh Jackman in it. And he was about to fight the Hulk. Hulk versus Wolverine, such an epic storyline in the comic. An epic battle, and we saw a little glimpse of that. That was like a nice little tease. Then we saw one of the most atmospheric, creepiest, weirdest looking scenes where Wolverine was tied to the X-Cross, like a X-Men Jesus or something, and then all these skulls were everywhere, and there's the most darkest looking scene, but then you got Deadpool in there. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something funny. Like all those skulls are probably skulls of mutants or something, skulls of all his loved ones, and you got Deadpool cracking jokes while Wolverine's hanging there like on the X-Cross. I was like, damn. Yeah, man, the cameos were great, and then we got to get into seeing like the reject world, the 20th Century Fox's rejects and dead characters from the past. Love that concept. In universe, it's the void. It's like where all the leftovers from the multiverse are left, but I couldn't really get the storyline. There's so much dialogue that I missed. I need to see the film again, explaining the in-universe reason for the void, but the out-universe reason, the real-life reason for the void, is all of 20th Century Fox's characters that have been left on a drawing board that Marvel now own, but haven't done anything with them, or they're planning to do something with them. And it was so cool to see. We saw Chris Evans come out. They wanted you to think he was Captain America. I love that. He looked more like the Nomad than he did in the actual Infinity War movie. He looked like Nomad Cap with the flipping poncho thing he was wearing, and he was like all unshaven and stuff. And then all of a sudden he says, "Flame on!" And you're like, oh shit! I had a feeling when I was watching. I was like, that's not going to be Cap, is it? And I saw the blue costume underneath a little bit. I was like, oh shit, that's going to be Johnny Storm. And I think it's the Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four movies. Like, I've heard some people say that could be a variant Johnny Storm where it's like that, but not the exact one. It could be, but I feel like, why would you get Chris Evans back? And like Deadpool said himself in the movie, that's costing us a whole bunch of the budget. Like, why would you get Chris Evans back and not say that he's that, you know, Johnny Storm? You might as well say he's the Johnny Storm we know, you know, which was super cool. And it was super cool to hear him swear and talk shit and all that kind of stuff, especially in the after credit scene. And let's get to my boy Blade. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh shit. I had no idea. I haven't really been following the trailers or the news. I've just been blind to all this stuff. I don't follow MCU news that much anymore, man, because MCU just doesn't do it for me as much. Maybe I'll start doing it again after this because this film was pretty good. But seeing Blade was a genuine surprise for me, and I loved that Wesley Snipes just still had it. The voice, the motherfuckers want to ice skate up here. Like he still had the voice, the intonations, the way he was moving. Even when he was fighting, he still had that stiff way, that badass stiff way of fighting where it looks like it really hurts. The side kicks and all that stuff that he did. I was just sad he didn't have his iconic sword that rips your hand apart if you pick it up and you don't know how to use it. He was using these kind of like curved swords. But I wish he had his normal, like, samurai blade katana thing. Yeah, man, it's like he never lost it. I think he was been campaigning that, I can still play Blade. I've heard stuff that where he said he could probably still do Blade. And he proved it, because I was like, damn, man, it was one of my favourite parts of the whole film, seeing him in action as Blade. And they did him justice as well. I really thought they were going to kill all the cameo characters off when they went to go fight Cassandra Cain. But they actually were really respectful. They kicked ass, and it was good to see them in action. You saw Jennifer Garner. She was looking great. as Elektra from the Daredevil films with Ben Affleck in it. And I was like, wow, man, she looks good. And I was like, she looked like she put some muscle on. I don't know if that's CGI, because I know there's CGI muscles these days with like Natalie Portman, and there's rumors that they might have CGI'd some of Hugh Jackman's muscles. I don't know how true that is. But if it's whether CGI or not, I'm assuming it's real. And if Jennifer Garner's muscles are real, she was looking hench, man. I was like, damn, man, she put some muscle on for this or something. I don't know. And then we got Channing Tatum as Gambit. Didn't really enjoy that much. I get it. It's a reference to how there was rumors that there was going to be a Gambit movie with Channing Tatum that never actually lifted off the ground, which is a good thing considering what I saw in this film. I know he was playing it comedic wise, but he just looked like a weird... I know these are probably like older versions of these characters that are stuck in the void. They're meant to be older versions because everyone's kind of aged in the X-Men / MCU universe now. Everyone's kind of older now, you know. Like this is the late stage of the comics, basically, you know, like before the Incursions event hit and reset everything. If you know the comics. So yeah, Channing Tatum just looked like he was kind of dad bod Channing Tatum. I mean, I know he's built under that, but it just didn't look right. A Gambit to me feels like he's supposed to be quite lean and tall, and Channing Tatum looks more buff, and it just looks strange to me. And then the way his accent was horrible. Mon ami, mon cher, whatever he says, all those things. It was just like, it felt off. It didn't feel like the Gambit from the X-Men cartoon. He was trying to be that Gambit, but it just didn't feel right. It felt like he was just Channing Tatum trying to act like Gambit. It didn't feel like Gambit. It just felt silly. But I guess that was the point. And I loved how Deadpool was calling out his horrible accent and you couldn't understand what he was saying. Obviously, those parts were intentional because there were parts where you could understand what he was saying and Deadpool didn't say nothing. And I loved the way he was using the cards and stuff and his powers and his stuff. I mean, low-key, like, unpopular opinion, I did enjoy the Gambit in the X-Men Origins movie. It was more like a realistic take. Back then, they were trying to make superheroes a bit more grounded and realistic, and that Gambit from the X-Men Origins movie, he did some badass stuff in that film, like from what I remember anyway. Maybe if I watch it back now, I'll be like, oh my god, it's horrible. But anyway, yeah, so we had Jennifer Garner, Gambit, and Blade, which was just flipping awesome to see them. Oh, and we had X-23 show up, which, I don't know, I felt diminished her a little bit, because she was in such a serious film, and I can't remember Logan, but I just remember her being like a tragic character that it was very Last of Us feeling. Like you had Logan, which was basically Joel, and you had X-23, which is Ellie. And it's kind of like, I know Ellie's a funny character and X-23 wasn't always serious either, but it's kind of like if you had Ellie in a comedy flick after being in the harrowing world of The Last of Us, even though she's a light-hearted character, but then she becomes silly in a comedy flick. You know, it just felt a bit strange, but she was cool. She was nice to see her again. I loved the little reference to her funny glasses that she wore in the Logan film, where it just looks like part of the silliness now, whereas in the Logan film, it was like a light-hearted moment that she was wearing those glasses, you know, because it was such a harrowing film. Yeah, Chris Evans' death as the Human Torch was crazy. The way they Sandra Kane just ripped off his skin. I was like, damn! That she ain't messing about. I was saying earlier with her powers that she just can touch people's heads and see their memories and stuff. Those were opened up for some nice emotional scenes and cool emotional moments. Though I did get a bit lost on exactly what she was doing. It's like she went back in time and changed things that Deadpool had already experienced and things like that. It was kind of weird. But I think I got it. I think I need to see the movie again because there's a lot of things I definitely missed. I loved Ryan Reynolds' joke about, oh, poor Rudd, he's finally aged. When we saw the giant Ant-Man with the skull and the giant dead Ant-Man. And it's like, poor Rudd finally aged. That one cracked me the hell up. So one of the most funniest lines was when he was talking to the kid and he says, I don't have sex vaginally or something like that. After he said the most inappropriate thing to that kid in the car, and he was just staring him out after he said it. It was so awkward and funny. Hilarious, risky jokes, man. It's crazy that Disney was allowing this. But also incredible. Like, it was nice to see some gore, some adult humor, and some silly like stuff that you can actually laugh at in the MCU because they're not afraid to pull the punches now. They weren't afraid to take the piss out of themselves either. There was a moment where Ryan Reynolds said the woke mob's gonna get us and stuff. I was like, what? He's referencing woke? MCU referencing woke is crazy. But you know it's Ryan Reynolds doing all that, and Kevin Feige begrudgingly being like, okay, we need this right now, so whatever. You know Kevin Feige would never write that shit himself or any other writer apart from Reynolds, you know. I like that Reynolds is very aware of that kind of shit. And he's probably ironically taking the piss out of like anti-woke people and stuff, but at least you can read it how you want to read it, you know. He's trying to do both sides. That's the best thing you can do in this kind of situation. Yeah, just overall the movie was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. Is it the MCU coming back? I don't think so. I think the MCU has a lot of work to do to really come back. I'm trying to think of any other things that I remember. Before I finish, I've got to talk about a couple other things. Otherwise, I'm just going to regret not mentioning it. Seeing Wolverine's mask, putting it on was hilarious. I loved that part. And it looked pretty cool, but it looked off as well in some angles. But it looked really badass in some angles. And the fights... I need to talk about there's so much stuff. I'm going all back and forth, but this is just a general chat discussion about this at this point. And the fight between Wolverine and Deadpool was really good. Like they had a few fights in this, which was actually surprising. But it was cool to see Wolverine running on all fours like a proper animalistic style fight, you know. I was like, damn, man, this is probably wearing the yellow outfit as well. And I love when he could see his arms. And damn, Hugh Jackman's ripped. I don't understand how. Like, I don't know if that. Let me know if that's CGI, because I know I heard rumors that they might have CGI'd his muscles or something. Let me know. But he looked ripped. Jennifer Garner was looking ripped. I was like, damn, man, they all worked out hard for this, man. It was good. It was good stuff. The plot, honestly, the plot probably didn't even matter. The reason why I'm talking about the plot again is because I was thinking of the weakest part. It's probably the plot. But I guess it's not about the plot. Fuck the plot. It was just about having fun, seeing the characters again. And I got a bit emotional in the end credits when you could see how young Hugh Jackman was when they were showing you the BTSs of all the previous X-Men films and some of the other films and stuff like that. I wanted to see some of the BTS of Blade, but they didn't show that. Just one more thing about Blade. He was so fucking good. And that joke where he said, I'm the only Blade. And then Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool just kind of looked at the screen like, oh, he doesn't know. Mahershala Ali's coming. But then, I don't know if that joke's outdated now. Of all the fucking issues that's happening with the Mahershala Ali Blade movie, I wouldn't be surprised if Wesley Snipes' Blade was probably right there, you know? I don't know. But yeah, man, Wesley Snipes still had it. Probably one of my favourite, if not my favourite part of the movie, just seeing Blade in action again. That's a black superhero original that was just badass. And I miss them days when we actually got actual cool black superheroes and not race swap ones that are just generic and dead. You know, I miss that shit. But anyway, that's my review of Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm sure I've missed a lot of stuff. Maybe I'll do a live stream discussion if you guys are on it. Let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a live stream discussion. And we can chat about it even more. What you think the future of the MCU should be. More R-rated films. Blade needs to be R-rated for sure. A serious one. And yeah, the one time where the comedy actually works. Because it's R-rated in the MCU. But anyway, thanks for watching. Please let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Peace.